Welcome to Age of the Obsolete, the weekly podcast that examines the intersection of technology, democracy, and the future of work. I'm your host, John Ravito. The street is deserted. Slowly, the solitary figure of the town marshal appears at the far end. Abandoned by his friends, he alone stands against a gang of killers set to arrive on the noonday train. The music begins, slow and rhythmic like the clock on the wall. Cut to the big hand as it moves steadily towards high noon. Then back again to our hero, walking steadfast towards the camera, and the final showdown. The scene is iconic, a station of our belief that individualism is the driving force that forged this nation and continues to make it great. According to our national myth, it was rugged individualism that tamed the West, created our industries, built our cities, our dams and bridges and highways. Individualism that enabled us to hold firm when confronted by tyranny and aggression. Individualism that continues to stand as the bulwark of both democracy and the American way. The American belief in rugged individualism is culturally ingrained. Figures that run the gamut from Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone to Henry Ford, Steve Jobs, and the current stalwarts of Silicon Valley. A belief echoed by former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger in his 1972 interview with Italian journalist Oriana Fallaci. According to Kissinger, "I've always acted alone. Americans like that immensely. Americans like the cowboy who leads the wagon train, the cowboy who rides into town with his horse and nothing else. This amazing romantic character suits me, because being alone has always..." Kissinger, like many Americans, saw himself as a lone wolf, a solitary figure whose success depended not on the largesse of others, but on his individual intelligence and skills. But as science has shown us, wolves are neither solitary nor do they hunt alone. Wolves instead are highly social creatures that support one another in order to ensure the survival of the group. Wolves succeed by cooperating. Separated from the pack, they struggle to find balance. Humans are the same. In an interview of his Outliers, the Story of Success, author Malcolm Gladwell argues that we've fallen in love with this notion of the self-made man, of the rags to riches story, of the idea that if you make it to the top of your profession, you deserve a salary of $20 million a year because you're the one responsible for getting to the top. That idea has permeated virtually every way in which we think about achievement, and I think that it is completely false. It's worse than false. It's dangerous. Instead of the solitary efforts of self-directed individuals, success in the ability of people to work together towards a common purpose. In his book Trust, Francis Fukuyama points out that although Americans commonly characterize themselves as individuals, most social observers have noted that the United States has historically been built on strong and important communal structures. Contrary to the myth of rugged individualism, nobody, no matter how skilled or charismatic, succeeds alone. Yet today, we've begun to hear the opposite. As corporations continue to hide in response to the demands of globalization, non-traditional forms of work are rapidly replacing the standard 9-to-5 types of employment we've become accustomed to. Instead of full-time jobs, work is now preceded by adjectives such as part-time, contract, 0-hour, contingent, and freelance. The transformation, we are told, is beneficial and works to our advantage. According to the argument, instead of corporate employment, we are now free to choose when and where we will work, to become masters of our own destiny, to throw off the shackles of enslavement and become singular brands unto ourselves. What we're not told is that 85% of new brands fail, or that 96% of all new businesses shut their doors after only 2 years. So what do? How can you survive in this brave new world of individual enterprise? The first thing to recognize is that there are no easy quick fix solutions, no 10 steps or 5 pillars or 6 secrets that will transform you overnight into a successful entrepreneur. What's most important is that success comes not to the individual, but to the individual working within a social context comprised of other like-minded individuals. But what if you're a sole practitioner, a lawyer, accountant, business consultant, coach, or therapist that works one-on-one with clients, or a social media expert, project manager, computer programmer, engineer, carpenter, plumber, electrician, or any other type of professional that continually needs to find new clients in order to work? When you work alone, often remotely, how can you generate the social context necessary? The answer: by building a personal ecosystem. Just as a biological ecosystem consists of a group of individual organisms working together, each of us needs to build a personal ecosystem that consists of a similar group of interdependent organisms. Not simply friends and family, but also current and former colleagues, as well as business groups and associations that will work to our advantage. While each of these entities has its own individual motives, expertise, and goals, the influence and connections they provide can have a direct and positive impact on helping you succeed. Biological ecosystems can be small, such as the tide pools found near many oceans, or extremely large, like the Amazon rainforest in South America. Personal ecosystems can likewise range in size, from people and organizations in your hometown or immediate geographic area, to a wide range of actors involved in one or more industries. Building a personal ecosystem is similar to networking, but differs significantly in regards to the types of relationships that are created. Networking is the process of connecting with as many people as possible, with the hope that a certain subset of these people can help you achieve a goal, such as finding a job or a new client. A personal ecosystem, by contrast, is much more interdependent. Instead of simply getting someone to do something, a personal ecosystem creates relationships that are mutually beneficial. What's most important to remember is that just as a biological ecosystem is dependent on energy continually passing through, your personal ecosystem will flourish only when you give into it as much, which is why the key to your future success will rely less on self-interest and rugged individualism, and more on your ability to form cooperative relationships based on mutual trust and interdependence. This is John Rivito saying thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions or want additional information on any of the topics covered in these podcasts, please go to our website at ageoftheobsolete.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.